Making the most of generic computer programs, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Excel, and photo editing programs. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce you to my computer friend Jarvis.
Hello, I'm Jarvis. Time to get started. Power up your screens, tip-tap those keys, push your start buttons, and away we go.
First, looking at Microsoft Word. Created in Microsoft Word was a Snakes and Ladders board game on a hundreds chart. The snake heads and inserting ladders was created in Photoshop. So why is this resource so great? Microsoft Word is a simple way to create tables that can be used for board games. The Snakes and Ladders board game focuses on adding, subtracting, recognizing numbers from 1 to 100 in ascending and descending order, and taking turns. Printed and laminated, the hundreds chart made in Microsoft Word is fun, hands-on, and a maths resource, and it'll last for ages. Snakes and Ladders board game meets the new maths syllabus for New South Wales for Stage 1, Year 1, looking at addition and subtraction of 1 and 2 digit numbers and how they are inverse operations. In the task description, we see how students write out the equation for when they move up the ladders and move down the snake.
You can make some really cool stuff in Microsoft Word, Sarah. These make some awesome board games.
Another activity created in Microsoft Word was tessellation of patterns and activities using the Objects palette. Task 1 was saved as a PDF and then reopened. It didn't move around. Tasks 2 and 3 were given to students and it was their turn to create. So why was this a great activity? Simple shapes in Microsoft Word are a fun, engaging way to use the program, usually reserved for written documents. Using shapes in Microsoft Word demonstrates how the same size shape can be moved and rotated and flipped.
All those patterns and shapes are making me dizzy. But wow, there's so much more to do with Microsoft Word.
Time for something new.
I'm so excited.
Next program is Microsoft PowerPoint. Created in PowerPoint for PowerPoint was a generic scaffold for students to make a PowerPoint presentation on an author for their author study of Roald Dahl and comparing his works to other stories. So why was this such a great resource? By providing a generic, not fancy scaffold, students had a numbers slide guide, a guide on what to include, and instructions in the same way they were presenting theirs. The activity was completed in pairs because of the number of computers and sharing the workload, also catering for students who needed extra help academically or with technology. This time we're looking at the English outcomes for Stage 2 Year 4, particularly the outcome of publishing text using digital technology and understanding the purpose, audience and subject matter when comparing Roald Dahl's Vaulting Rhymes works to the traditional fairy tale stories. By creating a PowerPoint presentation, it made it engaging, which did address the indicators there as well.
Impressive.
Now for the trifecta. Our third Microsoft program, Microsoft Excel. Created for Excel was exploring data using Microsoft Excel. The instruction sheet was created in Microsoft Word, but the activity was completed in Excel. Here, the new maths syllabus outcomes for Stage 3, Year 6, using appropriate methods of collecting data and constructing and interpreting this data, in particularly in the indicators, the use of column graphs, which was used in this activity. Students work samples of their collated data and then put into column graphs, along with drawing conclusions from their data, which is handwritten in their maths books.
So many numbers, so much data, so much hard work.
Time for our last program.
Like what, Sarah? We have already seen some wonderful computer programs. How are we going to top that?
Photo editing programs like Adobe Photoshop.
Like where I was made?
Yes, Jarvis, like where you were made. Adobe Photoshop is one of many photo editing programs for both computers and iPads. Adobe Photoshop Express is a free iPad app that is a simple, basic version of Photoshop. So what was created? Representing things that are interesting or beautiful is an activity created for photo editing programs like Photoshop. As a teacher, I completed an example of the task using my own digital picture and applying various digital editing techniques, making screenshots in the process to use as a visual guide later. Why was the activity great? The activity was great for Photoshop because it could be completed on iPads or computers. Using photo editing programs is a great way to explore and engage students in digital photography, usually an unknown area of art until high school elective. It's fun. Students use their own photographs, engaging them in photography. Photoshop allows students to explore a program on a simple to complex level, allowing for various abilities, age groups and purposes. Outcomes from the New South Wales Creative Arts syllabus for Stage 2 Year 3. We see the outcomes here representing the qualities of experiences and things that are interesting or beautiful, and in the indicators, experimenting with with techniques in photography and digital to create particular effects. In the task, we see students were using photography skills with a digital camera or bringing a picture on a USB from home, and students also could then take pictures on iPads and then they use the iPad to edit their picture. Task 2 was where students wrote a description of their artwork that they made.
Sometimes we all need a chance to be a little fancy.
Today we explored Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Excel, and photo editing programs like Photoshop. Say goodbye, Jarvis.
Goodbye, Jarvis.